Hi everyone and welcome to my new channel dedicated completely to Pilates. My name is Irina and I've been teaching Pilates for some 23 years now. I've been practicing Pilates for 26 years and my original background as a very young child was rhythmic gymnastics. Later I moved more to dance. So I built quite a career in dance, and in the last few years I've progressed more and more towards Pilates, including teaching Pilates on the mat, on the reformers, and also on all the other equipment. I have training with different organizations. One is Polestar and one is Bussy. I have followed mostly Bussy in the last few years, including training in Pilates for dancers, Pilates pre and post pregnancy, and Pilates for injuries and pathologies. So I've been thinking about what to do with all this information and experience, and I thought, why not try the channel? So if you like this video, please consider clicking like and subscribe, and this will let me know that there is more interest. Today, we are going to focus on pelvic curl. With pelvic curl, like with any other exercise in Pilates, there are tons and tons of variations, and each instructor has their own preference, their own style. So I'm going to try my very best to explain my reasons and my styling and my progressions and regressions for each exercise in order to give you more purpose and more reason to do the exercise this way or that way. So I will try to explain everything the best that I can, but if something is unclear or you have suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. I will welcome every comment. Let's begin with the setup. First of all, before you lie down, sit forward on your mat and check that the distance between your feet and your knees is 1 fist apart. Eventually you'll be able to do it visually, but at the beginning you can literally check the spacing. Now, make sure the inside of your feet are completely parallel. When you lie down, if you bring your pelvis closer to your heels, you will make the load of the exercise easier. And if you move further back, you will make it a little bit more challenging. Therefore, if you're just starting, start with your pelvis a little bit closer to your heels. Lying down, once you lie down, you can also adjust that same position. When you are supine, which is on your back, if you have nice uninjured or unmodified posture, with your chin slightly tucked, you should be able to just see the tops of your knees without lifting your head. In some cases, when the posture has some sort of pathology, or if you've had an injury and it results in this chin lift here, you may not be able to see the knees. And one of the goals is to keep working on this gentle lengthening at the back of the neck, trying to create a natural curvature, not completely flat, but not hyperextended either. So we don't want this lifting of the chin. On the floor, you're going to have your arms by the side, palms facing down. Now here, please think about the position of your pelvis. Your pelvis needs to try and be what I call flat. This means it's not tucking under and it's not pressing over, right? So you can see if I tuck under, the lower back presses into the mat, and if I go over, you get a hyperextension in your lower back. So we are trying to find a position of the pelvis where it's just nice and flat and neutral. Another part of this alignment, and that's the tricky part, are your ribs. You want to slide your ribs in without allowing them to flare up. So you're trying to keep your ribs sliding in, engaging through your abdominal muscles, and still checking that your eyes can see the tops of your knees. In this position, you should have just enough space for 1 or 2 fingers under your lower back. That's kind of the ideal, but it doesn't mean that you will be able to achieve it straight away. So be patient. With your eyes watching your thighs, I want you to think that your legs are train tracks. They run parallel to each other. If the knees start to fall out or in, the train will derail. But the reason we do this actually is to make sure we activate the correct parts of your hamstrings and glutes. The precursor to your pelvic curl is a pelvic tilt. So in the pelvic tilt, you don't physically lift the pelvis. You just contract your abdominals and create what we call a posterior tilt, and then come back to neutral. So you squeeze through the tummy gently, pressing the lower back into the floor, tilting the pelvis with your pubic bone lifting up, and then back to neutral. So you can repeat this as many times as you like. This is also an excellent variation or exercise for anyone who has a sore back. To progress to pelvic curl, you begin with the pelvic tilt and you continue to lift your pelvis one vertebrae at a time from the floor, trying to keep your thighs nice and parallel. In your top position, you want to feel that your hips are pressing up and your ribs are pressing down, trying to feel the engagement in your legs, your glutes, and your abdominals. If you need to, you can also press into your arms. Inhale. As you exhale, sink down from the center of your chest through towards the lower ribs, tucking the pelvis and rolling through your spine all the way to neutral position while maintaining your train tracks. So let's have a look at it without all the arm movements. Inhale, exhale, tuck your tail under, squeeze through the abdominals without moving my arms, and articulate slowly up. In your best position, inhale and exhale, articulate down, rolling through each vertebrae. Now, if I go too far, I'm going to end up in hyperextension. So I will do one incorrectly. So if I go too far, we end up here. Okay, so that means your ribs are flaring, your abs are relaxed, right? And most likely in this position, it's very hard to keep your legs parallel. So quite often the knees fall open as well. So just be careful that in the top, you're working quite hard, keeping those ribs sliding in, abdominals in, pressing up through your glutes. Now, if you try this and you align everything correctly and you feel like you're about to cramp, there are two solutions. Solution number one is starting with your feet closer to your hips, and solution number two is coming up lower. So working in the lower range here, and then coming down and gradually building up the height. This halfway position is also a solution if you're having chronic lower back pain. So I wouldn't want you to go all the way up if you have severe back pain. In fact, if you have a lot of back pain, start with pelvic tilts first. So these are your regressions. And once you feel that they are not causing you any problems, then start to increase the height. This is just one more here. And then coming down. Now, the progressions here, you have few to play with. In Pilates, you can say that bridging and bridging prep are your progressions. However, I see them as separate exercises. So here we're going to talk about progressions specifically for pelvic curls. I will show you two progressions today. So just check your alignment. The first progression, is going to be with your arms overhead. This takes away the support of pressing into your arms, and it also challenges your ribcage position because most people have a bit of limitation in their shoulder flexibility. So when you bring your arms overhead, most people end up in this extended position. You need to focus more on keeping your rib cage sliding in. On exhale, rolling up, and on inhale, you will be coming down. But before we do that, I just want to also give you an option here to circle your arms. So you can hold your position and circle your arms, and you can move in both directions. And the point is to keep your glutes and hamstrings engaged to support you while your arms are moving, but at the same time you also articulating your shoulders, mobilizing your shoulders. So in this position, when you're rolling down, you're having to contract your abdominals more with more purpose, and you're also getting more of a stretch through your spine. So that's again a progression once you can articulate your spine well. Another progression is to come up and hold this position. You can hold this position by itself or by lifting your toes up. When you lift your toes up and actively press into your heels, you're activating your hamstrings and your glutes more. And of course, you have to be careful to avoid hyperextension. So once again, you're focusing more on your abdominal contraction as well. It's important to breathe freely in this position. And of course, if you want to go really challenging, you can keep the position up on your heels and add arm circles. So that would probably be quite challenging for most people because you're still needing to maintain parallel alignment in your thighs, abdominal contraction, and glute contraction. And one of the ways you can challenge as well is just having your arms up to the ceiling. If you just want to do the hold, it's quite challenging on its own. And then as a variation, place your toes down, inhale, and exhale, rolling down. And arms come down by the side. Excellent. So this was our pelvic curl. As I mentioned before, each instructor will have their own variations and their own reasons for offering their variations. So you need to find the ones that work for you. I hope you found this very useful. If you want to do the pelvic curl by itself, you're welcome to try 6 to 10 repetitions. If you're doing it as part of a longer class or longer sequence, 3 to 4 repetitions are good enough. Many disciplines use pelvic curl as part of their warm-up. Having said that, if you truly have issues with your back, I would be careful, as I mentioned before, and supplement them with pelvic tilts first. Thank you so much for joining me. And as I mentioned before, if you enjoyed this video and you stayed right through the end, please continue liking and subscribing. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below the video. See you next time.